Growth in commercial cards has stalled, with only 2% of business spend captured and profits being increasingly squeezed by the change in interchange economics. Are you in the 80% whose card programs are failing? How are you planning to address this? At Ixaris, we believe that next-generation payments platforms are needed for commercial card issuers to better serve their customers and grow their own revenues. In this video series, we look at 3 capabilities of next-generation payments platforms that will help them to do just that. Controlling transaction pricing, supporting non-card accepting suppliers, and decoupling from credit lines. In this second video in our series, we explore how supporting non-card accepting suppliers can grow commercial card revenues.
Commercial card payments can come with a couple of significant burdens for suppliers. There's a burden of cost. High merchant service charge driven by large interchange rates can become a significant burden for the supplier, particularly for higher value transactions. In addition to that, there are often process challenges for suppliers in processing card payments. They need to retain card information, they need to comply with PCI DSS requirements, and they actually need to physically process the card transaction, which can be a breakout from their regular processes they use for other payment mechanisms. So that means there are burdens for them in becoming card accepting. There's a reluctance for some suppliers to move in that direction, and that means that buyers can't use cards for all the transactions they'd like to, and banks really can't develop programs in the way that they'd like. There are a couple of approaches that have been explored in the industry to try and overcome these acceptance issues with suppliers. So there are a number of providers who are offering straight-through processing services that take away a lot of the process burden for the supplier, but it doesn't really do anything to overcome the cost burden for the supplier. There are also other models using master merchant solutions where a third party will step in and process the payments on behalf of the supplier, which solves the process questions. It solves some of the supplier acceptance challenges, but it layers cost into the process. So the cost question really doesn't go away for the supplier. What is needed is a new approach to supplier acceptance, one that truly overcomes the issues of cost and process for the supplier, one that enables them to process the payments in a way that they would receive any other electronic payment mechanism. It's a platform that allows buyers to pay any of their suppliers, regardless of whether they accept cards or otherwise. And it gives suppliers an ability to receive electronic payment along with rich remittance data without having to go through the process and absorb the cost that you see with a traditional card payment. It does this through its ability to allow payments to be routed outside of card rails, which means the supplier can be paid via any electronic payment method without the additional cost and process burden that they see with a card payment, but also allows the buyer to still receive the benefits that they like to see in their virtual card solutions, namely control, data and reconciliation. The approach that we take at Ixaris to address the supplier acceptance question drives benefits for all members of the value chain. On the buy side, the buyers can pay any of their suppliers, regardless of whether they accept card or not. On the supplier side, we can strip out a lot of the costs that suppliers experience through taking card payment and also streamline their processes. On the bank side, we can push more payments through a single channel, optimizing revenues for the bank and streamlining their cost base.
Since 2003, Ixaris has focused only on payments innovation. That's what we do. At Ixaris, we pioneered virtual prepaid cards. Now, since then, we've evolved to cover other payment types, credit cards, but also bank-based payments. And more recently, in 2015, we were awarded funds by the European Union to make the process of payment innovation much easier, safer, and more accessible.
Get the full story by visiting www.ixaris.com today and requesting our commercial payments white paper. Join the discussions on Twitter and LinkedIn.